Have you ever asked yourself, with a tired soul and a heavy heart, why do I do everything right, visualize every night, and yet the money still isn't here? This question echoes in the minds of countless people I have met over the years, men and women whose eyes carry the same silent frustration. They tell me about their vision boards, filled with images of abundance. They describe the affirmations they repeat with fervor, the hours dedicated to imagining their dream life. And yet, the stubborn reality of their bank accounts remains unchanged. The most common conclusion, the excuse that reason offers to soothe the soul, is that they are missing some secret opportunity, or perhaps that they simply haven't been blessed with luck. But I tell you today, and I want my words to penetrate deep into your consciousness, it is not luck, nor opportunity, nor hard work that determines your wealth. It is your assumption. And by assumption, I do not mean a fleeting positive thought, a mere wish cast into the wind. I speak of a quiet, unshakable acceptance that a thing is already true, long before the slightest fragment of evidence appears in the physical world. The vast majority of humanity lives under the collective hypnosis that money is earned only through strenuous effort, strategic plans, perfect timing, or the right circumstances. They believe their financial condition is shaped by the economy, the government, their boss, or their background. But I tell you that your outer reality is, and always will be, a mirror of what you have accepted as true about yourself in the privacy of your own mind. Your consciousness is the only reality. If, in the depths of your being, you nurture the image of someone who struggles to survive, who can barely pay the bills, who lives from paycheck to paycheck, no amount of external action can contradict this self-definition for long. Even an unexpected windfall, a sudden stroke of luck, will eventually dissolve like smoke, because the state of consciousness you occupy will always reassert itself, projecting itself once again onto the stage of your life. This is the foundation of the law of assumption, a principle I have taught for years, not as a theory to be admired, but as a living reality to be proven. The world you experience is literally created by your consciousness. The true cause of your financial condition is not in the stock market, in the hands of the government, or in your lack of opportunities. It is much closer. It is in the silent image you carry of yourself, in the role you have been playing without even knowing you were the one who wrote it. Think of the years that have passed. You may have tried to save more, worked extra hours, taken new courses, or jumped from one opportunity to another. And yet, when you look back, the same patterns repeat. The numbers may change, but the feeling of not enough remains. You are still living from a place of lack. Perhaps you know well the feeling of checking your account before the rent is due, hoping the balance will be enough. Perhaps you've felt that knot in your stomach when a letter marked past due arrives. Perhaps you've taken the long way home just to avoid passing your landlord's door, knowing the rent is late, or stayed silent when a collector knocked, pretending no one was home. Perhaps you've even parted with something you cherished, a watch, a piece of jewelry, just to cover an urgent need. These are not just experiences, they are rehearsals of an identity. Every time you react in the same way, with the same anxiety, with the same fear, you are reminding yourself, this is my role, this is who I am. And here lies the uncomfortable but liberating truth. Life does not give you what you want, it gives you what you are. Your consciousness is the source of your experiences. If you still carry the inner picture of the struggler, the one barely making it, or the unlucky one, all the effort in the world will merely serve to decorate that same role. You might earn more, but you will feel the same fear when the bills arrive. You might change jobs, but the pressure will follow you. The change has been temporary because, although the stage may have shifted, the actor has not. Before the numbers change, the identity must change. And that work begins not in the bank, but in the unseen chamber of your own imagination. What would happen if you discovered you were one thought away from a life of extraordinary abundance? What if I told you that prosperity is not something you achieve, but something you allow? Stay with me, for we are about to unveil the precise method to shift your inner state. And when you do, your outer financial world will have no choice but to transform. What is the financial role you have been unconsciously playing until today? Leave your reflection in the comments, and let us begin this journey of transformation together. The first and most fatal error people make is to imagine wealth while feeling poor. They try to think about money, but secretly assume its absence. They affirm abundance while continuing to talk, think, and worry about bills, scarcity, and the rising cost of living. You cannot plant the seed of a rose while holding the conviction that only thorns will grow. To be conscious of being poor while asking for riches is to be rewarded with that which you are conscious of being, poverty. This is the immutable law. The universe does not respond to your desires or your empty words. It responds to your consciousness, your I am. What you assume yourself to be, you become. Therefore, the great challenge is not to fight against external reality, but to transform yourself internally. Many approach this truth and think it is a mental game, a battle of willpower against negative thoughts. They strive to affirm, I am rich, but their minds, conditioned by years of contrary evidence, immediately scream no, you are not. Look at your bills, look at your debt. They try to visualize a full bank account, but the feeling of anxiety in their chest contradicts every image. So, what is one to do? The answer is not to fight the negative thought, for what you resist persists. The solution is to bypass it completely by changing the feeling that generates it. The feeling is the secret. When I speak of manifesting money, I am not speaking of chasing it. To chase something implies it is running from you. It is an act born from the consciousness of lack. I speak of embodying the state of already being wealthy, not through arrogance, not through delusional fantasy, but through the same quiet conviction you hold about your own name. If I ask you right now, are you yourself? You would not hesitate. There would be no doubt. It is this same level of certainty, this naturalness, that you must achieve when dwelling in the state of financial freedom. It is not about performing rituals or counting how many days you have practiced. It is about waking each morning as the version of yourself who is already free. The problem is that most people look at their current circumstances, the 3D, as some call it, and allow them to dictate their inner state. The bank statement becomes the truth. The past due bill becomes the reality. They are living from the outside in, allowing the world of shadow, the physical world, to define who they are. The true practice of this law is to live from the inside out. It is you who must impose your inner reality upon the outer world, not the other way around. It is a daring, a kind of divine impudence. It is looking at the evidence of your senses that screams scarcity and, silently, in your own mind, declaring, in spite of this, I am prosperous. The man who is fabulously wealthy does not have a different influx of spirit than you do. He is, consciously or unconsciously, imagining wealth. You can do this consciously. You must understand that states of consciousness are infinite, and you are always occupying one of them. There is the state of poverty, the state of health, the state of illness, the state of success, and the state of failure. You move in and out of these mental rooms through your assumptions. If you believe and feel that you are poor, you are inhabiting the state of poverty, and everything in your world will conform to that dwelling. If you move, in your imagination, into the state of wealth, and remain there, your world will have no choice but to reshape itself to reflect this new abode. Every conversation you have, whether with others or with yourself, reinforces the state you live in. If your inner conversations are about lack, about how difficult things are, about the injustice of the world, you are fertilizing the soil from which poverty grows. Your inner conversations build your world. The change, therefore, must be radical. It is not about sprinkling positive thoughts over a foundation of negative beliefs. It is about complete demolition and reconstruction. You must become a ruthless observer of yourself, monitoring the states you occupy throughout the day. And whenever you find yourself in the undesired state, do not despair. Simply, silently, Move yourself back into the state of the wish fulfilled. This is the true mental diet. Before we can explore how to make this change indelible, it is crucial that you fully accept this premise. Your dominant feeling, your habitual consciousness, is the creative force in your life. What you feel is true, the world will materialize. With this understanding, the question ceases to be, how can I get money, and becomes, how can I feel like the person who already has it? And that is precisely the key we are about to turn now. Now that we understand the fundamental error is trying to visualize from a state of lack, let us move from understanding to practice. Set aside all ideas of complicated rituals, strict schedules, or waiting for the perfect moment. What we are about to do is far simpler and infinitely more powerful. It is the quiet work of the mind, done in stillness. And it will feel so natural that you may wonder how something so subtle could change anything. And yet, it will change everything. Begin by asking yourself, in the privacy of your own heart, the most important question you can ask. If I were already financially free, how would I feel? Not what would I buy, not where would I travel, not what would I do. Those are actions that stem from the state. The primary cause is the feeling, the atmosphere of your inner world. What would it be? Would it be relief? Would it be a deep security, an unshakable calm, the certainty that there is nothing to fear? Allow yourself to touch that feeling now, even for a moment. Imagine waking up in the morning knowing that all the bills are paid, no letters marked past due, no numbers in red. Imagine opening your banking app and seeing more than enough for this month, for the next, and for the year to come. Feel the lightness in your chest as you realize you could choose to work or to rest, and either way, you are safe. No more worrying about whether you can cover next month's rent. No more lying awake at night wondering how to pay your children's school fees. No more silent panic every time the car makes a strange noise, afraid it will mean another repair you cannot afford. That is the feeling we are seeking, not a number in a ledger, but the freedom of being untouchable by lack. It is the feeling of expansion, of ease, of peace. Once you have touched that feeling, give it a home. Create in your imagination a short, simple, and ordinary scene that implies your wish has already been fulfilled. It is crucial that the scene follows the fulfillment of your desire. You do not imagine the act of receiving the money. You imagine a scene that would take place after you already had it. Perhaps you are sitting at your kitchen table, smiling calmly as you glance at a bank statement showing an abundant balance. Perhaps you hear a dear friend saying, "I am so happy for you. You deserve all of this." Perhaps you feel the crisp edge of a new banknote between your fingers as you place it in your wallet, not out of necessity, but for pleasure. The scene does not need to be grand or elaborate. In fact, the smaller and more natural it is, the more easily your mind will accept it. I remember a young man in New York who once wrote to me. He was drowning in debt, exhausted from long hours of work, yet never seemed to get ahead. He decided to apply exactly what I am sharing with you. He imagined one small scene, himself at his desk, looking at a bill with a large stamp that read "paid in full." No fireworks, no cheering crowds, just a quiet moment of profound relief. He repeated this scene in his imagination, night after night, until it began to feel less like a fantasy and more like a memory. He allowed the feeling of relief from that scene to sink so deeply into him that, each night, it was the last thing he knew before sleep. In less than a month, an old client unexpectedly offered him a freelance contract that cleared almost all of his debt. "It felt like magic," he said, "but I knew I was only watching reality catch up to who I had already become. This is not magic, it is law, and the law is always faithful. You accept it within, and the world accepts it without." If this deep insight resonates with you, if you feel the truth vibrating in these words, leave a like as a sign to yourself that you are ready for this identity shift. Now, the most crucial moment of all, the golden moment. As your body relaxes and the outer world fades, as you enter that drowsy state, the door to your deeper mind swings open. This is the moment to impress your assumption. Do not let doubt step in at the last minute. Do not return to worry about tomorrow. Let your final moments of awareness be spent as the one who already lives in financial freedom. Carry the feeling of your fulfilled scene with you into sleep. Fall asleep as that person, and the impression will be sealed. And what is impressed must, in time, be expressed. Remember, you are not trying to make something happen. You are simply acknowledging what is already true in a greater reality. You are selecting the future you wish to experience by feeling it in the present. And in doing so, you are giving a silent command to your subconscious, the one and only true creator. The moment before falling asleep, that golden portal between wakefulness and sleep, is where the true alchemy happens. Think of your mind as a garden. During the day, the conscious gardener is active, but so are the winds of doubt, the harsh sun of critical reason, and the pests of fear and anxiety coming from the world's news and the opinions of others. It is difficult to plant a delicate seed in these conditions, but at night, as the body calms and the conscious mind begins to withdraw, the wind ceases, the sun sets, and the soil of the subconscious mind becomes rich, moist, and receptive. This state, which I call the drowsy state, or the state akin to sleep, is the moment when the veil between the visible and invisible worlds becomes thinnest. Your analytical mind, the gatekeeper that questions everything, is sleepy and its defenses are down. It is at this moment that you can plant the seed of your wish fulfilled with the least resistance. The mistake many make is to take the burden of the day to bed with them. They lay their heads on the pillow and begin to review their worries, to plan battles for the next day, to rehash conversations, and to fret about bills. In doing so, they are, in fact, using this sacred moment to instruct their subconscious to create more of the same. They are watering the weeds of lack and struggle. The instruction is clear and immutable. Never fall asleep in the state of consciousness of your problem. Never to fall asleep feeling defeated, anxious, or poor is to give your inner creator the mold for the following day. Your subconscious is perfectly impersonal and non-judgmental. It does not care if the seed you plant is one of wealth or poverty, of joy or sorrow. It is only fertile soil, and its sole function is to grow whatever is planted in it. Your dominant feeling as you drift off to sleep is the most powerful seed you can plant. Therefore, this is your most important task of the day, more important than any action you have taken under the sun. As you lie down, close your eyes to the outer world and open the eyes of your imagination to your fulfilled scene. Do not force it, do not strain. Just gently bring to mind that short, simple scene that implies your wish has been realized. Do not watch it as if on a movie screen. Enter it. Feel what you would feel if you were actually there. If your scene is hearing a friend congratulate you, feel their presence, hear the tone of their voice, feel the emotion in their words. If it is looking at the bank statement, feel the weight of the phone in your hand. See the numbers on the screen, and allow the wave of relief and gratitude to wash over you. Repeat this imaginary action, this 1-second film, over and over again, like a lullaby to yourself. Do it until it takes on the tones of reality. You will know you have succeeded when a feeling of satisfaction, of calm, or of simple naturalness takes over. It may feel so real that you smile in the dark. It may be that a peace so profound envelops you that you simply forget to continue and drift off to sleep. That is the goal, to carry the feeling of the wish fulfilled into sleep. In doing so, you are impregnating your deeper mind with the conviction that it is done, and what is accepted as fact by the subconscious, it immediately begins to work to manifest. It will move heaven and earth if necessary. It will orchestrate encounters, inspire ideas, rearrange circumstances in ways your conscious mind could never conceive, all to bring forth that which has been impressed. This is not an exercise in positive thinking. It is an act of assuming consciousness. You are literally dying to your old self, the self of struggle and lack, and being reborn, night after night, into the self of freedom and abundance. Each night you fall asleep in this state, you are moving further and further away from the old identity and solidifying the new one. At first, it may feel like a game, like make-believe, but persist. Persistence is the key. Your loyalty to this new state, despite the contrary appearances of the outer world, is what guarantees your success. The world of Caesar may shout at you during the day, but your inner world, the world of God, is the only one that matters when you close your eyes at night. And in time, the outer world will have no choice but to echo the song you sing to yourself in the stillness of your soul. The reason we insist on a short, simple, and personal scene is fundamental, and ignoring it is the cause of many failures. The subconscious mind is not impressed by grandiosity, but by clarity and feeling. Many beginners, in their enthusiasm, create elaborate and fantastic scenes. They imagine themselves on yachts, surrounded by extravagant luxury, living a life that is, in its essence, completely alien to their current experience. The problem with this is twofold. First, a very complex scene is difficult to sustain and control. The mind wanders, the details change, and the energy dissipates. Second, and more importantly, a scene that is too far removed from your current conception of yourself often triggers the alarm of your rational mind. Inner skepticism arises, whispering, "This is ridiculous. This will never happen." And that feeling of unreality neutralizes the assumption. The goal is not to create a fantasy, but to create a memory of the future. And memories are composed of simple, sensory moments. Think of a real memory from your past. It's probably not a 2-hour epic. It's a fragment. The smell of coffee in your grandmother's kitchen, the feeling of someone's hand in yours, the sound of a specific laugh. These are the building blocks of reality in our minds. Therefore, your imaginary scene must have this same quality: short, sensory, and personal. Short, so that it can be repeated easily in a loop, without effort, until it becomes a natural state of being. 1 or 2 seconds of action is sufficient. Sensory, because the senses are the language of the subconscious. It is not enough to think of the scene, you must think from the scene. What would you see with your own eyes? What would you hear with your own ears? What would you touch with your own hands? Sensory vividness is what convinces the deeper mind that the experience is real and personal, because it must be something that resonates with you, something that feels natural for the person you wish to be. The scene of the man looking at the paid bill worked because, for him, at that moment, the ultimate feeling of financial freedom was the relief from debt. For someone else, it might be the joy of giving a large gift to a loved one without worrying about the cost. For a third, it might be the calm of looking out the window of a home they know is fully paid for. The scene must be yours. Do not use someone else's. Find the moment that, for you, encapsulates the feeling of the wish fulfilled. Perhaps it's the simple act of handing over the keys to your old car and receiving the keys to a new one, feeling the cool metal and the weight of the new keychain in your hand. Perhaps it's a conversation with your spouse, where you say, "Remember when we used to worry about money? It feels like another lifetime." Feel the intimacy and security in that shared moment. Perhaps it's the act of booking a first-class vacation, not with a feeling of extravagance, but with a feeling of normalcy, that this is simply what you do now. You do not need to see the money. The money is a means, not the end. Focus on the end. Focus on what financial freedom means to you in terms of feeling and experience. The scene you create is your anchor to that feeling. It is your portal to the state of the wish fulfilled. As you construct it, ask yourself, if my desire were true right now, what would I be doing or witnessing that would confirm it? The answer to that question is the material for your scene. Once you have it, refine it, make it as vivid and natural as possible, and then remain faithful to it. Do not change the scene every night. Repetition is what engraves it upon the subconscious. You are creating a new neural groove, a new memory, a new truth about who you are. In time, this inner scene will become more real to you than the external circumstances that contradict it. And when the inner reality becomes your habitual dwelling place, the outer reality has no choice but to conform. What is your scene? What is that simple, personal moment that, for you, would mean financial freedom is already a fact. Share it in the comments, for in declaring it, you begin to give it form. The central truth, the heart of this entire teaching, is this: before the numbers in your bank account change, your identity must change. You must cease to be the person who is trying to get rich and start being the person who is already prosperous. This is not a matter of semantics. It is a fundamental shift in consciousness. Most people live in a state of perpetual chase. They chase money, they chase success, they chase security, but the very act of chasing affirms that they do not possess what they seek. You do not chase what you already have. You do not seek what you already are. As long as you identify as one who struggles to pay the bills or one who needs more money, the universe, which is your own deeper self, will faithfully bring you more experiences of struggle and need. The outer world is a relentlessly honest mirror. It cannot reflect what you want to be. It can only reflect what you are conscious of being. Now, trying to change the outer world without first changing your self-image is like fighting a mirror. You can scream at the reflection, try to break it, but it will only reflect back an angry, frustrated face. The only way to change the reflection is to change the being who stands before the mirror. You may have tried to change your habits, your actions, your investments, but the results were always temporary. The anxiety always returned. So realize that the change is not in the doing, but in the being. Doing is the domain of Caesar. Being is the domain of God, and the domain of God is within you. This identity shift is an act of death and resurrection. You must allow the old man, with his limiting beliefs, his fears, and his stories of failure, to die. You do this by withdrawing your attention from him. When the thought, "I don't have enough," arises, you do not fight it. You observe it and calmly turn your attention to the feeling of "I have more than enough." When anxiety about a bill knocks on your door, you do not invite it in. You retreat to your inner chamber and occupy the feeling of relief and security. This is an act of inner discipline. It is refusing to give life and energy to unwanted states. Every time you react to the outer world with the old patterns of fear and worry, you are resurrecting the old man. Every time you instead react from your assumption, from the quiet confidence that your desire is already a fact, you are strengthening the new man. It is a process of shedding the role of the beggar to clothe yourself in the robes of royalty. At first, the robes may feel strange, too large. The outer world, the facts, will continue to tell you that you are still the beggar. This is the great test. Will you believe what your senses tell you, or will you remain loyal to the reality you have decreed in your imagination? Your persistence in this new identity is crucial. Imagine you are an actor who has been given a new part. The script says, "You are a king." On the stage of your imagination, you rehearse being a king, thinking like a king, feeling like a king. Then, you step onto the stage of life, and the other actors, who have not yet received the new script, continue to treat you as the beggar. If you react as the beggar, you have abandoned your part. But if you continue to feel and think like the king, despite their cues, they will soon begin to react to the new role you have assumed. The world will rearrange itself to harmonize with your assumption. Therefore, your task is not to convince anyone but yourself. Live inwardly as the person you wish to be. Walk down the street feeling the security and freedom that wealth would give you. Talk to people from a place of abundance, not of need. Make decisions not based on the fear of lack, but on the certainty of your provision. At first, it is a conscious act of as if, but with faithful practice, as if becomes is. The feeling becomes so natural that you forget it was ever any different. And when that identity becomes your natural home, the floodgates open. The outer world, which once seemed solid and unchangeable, becomes fluid, responding to your new consciousness. And this leads us to the final and most liberating secret of all. Once you truly assume the inner state of wealth, once the prosperous identity becomes your nature, the means by which the money will manifest are none of your concern. The how is not your business. This is perhaps the most difficult part for the rational mind to accept, for we have been taught that we must plan, struggle, and manipulate our way to success. We believe we are the ones who have to build the bridge between our current state and our desire. But in the reality of the law, your only responsibility is to occupy the state of the wish fulfilled. By doing so, the bridge of incidents will build itself, often in ways you could never have conceived. Trying to figure out the how is actually an act of faithlessness. It is a declaration that you do not truly believe that imagination creates reality. If you did, you would know that by defining the destination, the end, the means to get there will take care of themselves. When you worry about the how, you are operating from your limited self, the ego that can only see a small stretch of the path. But when you live in the end, you are operating from your deeper self, the power of God, which has a view that transcends your comprehension. This power knows the shortest, most harmonious path from your current state to the realization of your desire. Your attempts to interfere, to force things, often only get in the way. Think of it as ordering an item from an infinite catalog. You select what you desire, feel the joy of already possessing it, and submit the order. You do not call the warehouse to dictate the delivery truck's route, the driver's name, or the exact time it must arrive. You trust that the delivery system will work. Your only job is to be home to receive the package when it arrives. Likewise, your job is to remain faithfully at home, in the state of consciousness of your wish fulfilled. Opportunities will appear as if from nowhere. The right people will say the right words at the right time. An idea worth a fortune may pop into your mind during a shower. An old friend may call with a proposal. What once seemed like an impassable wall will reveal itself to be a door. The world will become a magical, malleable place, responding to your inner conviction. If doubt arises, and it will, remember that the world is only echoing your inner tone. If the echo you hear is one of lack, do not shout at the echo. Quiet yourself, go within, and change the tone. Return to your scene, feel again the reality of your wish fulfilled. Change the tone, and the echo must change. So tonight, do not go to bed as the struggler. Do not lay your head down as the one barely getting by. Slip quietly into the skin of the one who is free. Feel the weight lift from your shoulders. Feel the relief spread through your chest. Let the deep calm of security wash over you. Fall asleep in that feeling and let it carry you into the morning. For what you are in consciousness, you will be in the world. Your only work is the inner transformation. The world is merely the messenger that brings you the news of who you have become. What does this ultimate truth awaken in you? The realization that your only job is to be, not to do. What does it change in your perspective? If this journey of discovery has resonated in your soul, subscribe to continue deepening these mysteries. Ritual of reflection for the day. Tonight, before you sleep, instead of worrying about tomorrow, set aside 5 minutes. Sit in silence and simply observe the feeling that permeates your body. Do not judge it, just name it. Is it anxiety? Is it peace? Is it lack? Is it hope? Just observe. Then, deliberately, bring to mind the feeling of your wish fulfilled. Feel it in your body for a single minute. Notice the shift. This is your power, the power to change your state of being, regardless of the outer world. Practice this, and you will practice the mastery of your reality.